Hi everyone, I'm going to talk about the Unifying Framework. The Unifying Framework is 3 years worth of work through gathering input from different stakeholders through meetings and surveys. And one of the reasons that they did this is because of so many inconsistencies from center to center, state to state. And one of the major problems is the inconsistency in the titles that are being utilized. As a teacher of future teachers, I have to teach about the roles and the responsibilities of early child care professionals. But how can I when I don't know what the responsibilities of an aide is, or an assistant, or a childcare teacher, or childcare worker, or a daycare worker, or a preschool teacher? There are so many titles that to correctly identify the roles and responsibilities is extremely difficult because they vary. One center, the assistant is responsible for this, and in the next center, they're responsible for this. There is no consistency across the state and across the United States. Another area of inconsistency is in the preparation of the early child care professionals. What are they learning? There is no monitoring of the teacher prep or the professional prep of what they are learning in professional development or in accreditation programs or in credentialing programs or in associate programs. So there needs to be some consistency in what early childhood professional is. And so they created 3 levels. And there's early childhood educator 1, early childhood educator 2, early childhood educator 3. And with these levels, they have specific responsibilities as well as specific qualifications that they need to get. So as a teacher who is going to teach future teachers, this information is clear. I can say, this is what you need. These will be your responsibilities. And it's going to be consistent from each center and across the state. Another area that the Unified Framework focuses on is the shared responsibilities and the supports of the different stakeholders. So you have the early childhood educators, the professional preparation program, you have the employees and employers and the owners, the professional governance body, the state governments, and the federal government. And the Unifying Framework lays out what each of these stakeholders are responsible for. Now, again, as a teacher who is going to be preparing future teachers, this information is key so that they understand the different stakeholders that they are going to come encounter with, what those responsibilities are of those different organizations and people. And some of them themselves might be also working. They might be owning their own business. Maybe they decide to go into the professional governance side of it. Maybe they're going to go into the government side of it. So understanding what that shared responsibility and support is going to be important. Now, this is the big one, right? This is the one that I think we're all in agreement about, is the compensation for early childhood professionals. We know that early childhood professionals are not paid for what they do. They're not paid for their credentials. They have to keep getting credentials and accreditations and degrees and professional development, but they're never compensated for all of that they're doing. The Unified Framework is going to make sure that you are compensated for your qualifications, for your experience, and for your responsibilities. In addition, they're looking at benefit packages of health insurance, that retirement plan. And they're also looking at having a federal GI Bill that's going to help those who are going back to school to pay for tuition or scholarships and even loan forgiveness. Now, again, as a teacher of future teachers, I cannot in my heart tell a student who I know is just going to become, who just wants to become a childcare teacher, to go to college. Because as things are now, they are not compensated for those extra degrees that they deserve to be. And so I cannot in my heart send them to college to go into debt, to have loans to pay, and know that they are not going to get paid for those extra degrees. Now, obviously, I have ones that are elementary school bound. Those I encourage. You have to go to college, but they're going to be compensated. Okay. The Unified Framework is looking to make sure each of those levels of early childhood educators, the 1, 2, and 3, they have a base salary. Okay. A minimum they have to make at each of those levels. Obviously, they can make more, but they have to make that minimum. And for like early childhood educator 3, they're going to be looking to use the public education way that they do it. So they're going to look at like, what does a first year teacher make, and then go off of that. And then just like how I don't know how it is in Tennessee or the states that you are in, but in Pennsylvania, we have steps, but then we also have levels. So the years that you put in, you move down the steps, and then as you gain in knowledge, you are bachelor's plus 15, bachelor's plus 30, master's plus 20. You'll keep going up in your pay scale. And so they're looking to kind of do a scale like that for level 1, level 2, level 3. And then finally, the resources, structures, and supports to advance the early childhood profession. The revenues from childcare centers are not sufficient to cover the costs of compensation, of benefits, of helping to pay tuition or give scholarships. And in addition, a lot of families and teachers lose choice. And what I mean is that a family cannot choose high quality early childhood education for their child if they cannot afford it, right? Because if I am a low to income, I can only choose from the ones that I can afford, and it might not be the highest quality. Whereas with a unified framework, they want to make high quality accessible for everyone, right? So that 140 to 170 billion a year that they're estimating is needed will also go into helping families afford that quality education. In addition, teacher's choice, right? Right now, a teacher with a bachelor's or a master's, they're not going to work at certain centers that can't pay for them, even though maybe in their heart, they want to work for a nonprofit. Well, that nonprofit's not going to pay them what they need to live. So they might have to go the public sector, which is not really what they want to do, but it's going to pay them. But again, with the unified framework, it's going to allow them to choose where it is that they want to go to. And this is so important for incoming future teachers, things that I talk about with my students about choice. You have to really choose the center that fits what you believe, your personal beliefs, that philosophy of education we talk about. And so that choice is so important. And with the unified framework, it's going to give them, families and teachers, educators, choice. And so that leads me into, this is just my reflection, which I talked about within my two discussion questions. What do you believe to be the biggest challenge or hurdle to unifying the early childhood profession? And number two is, as leaders, what role do you think we play in helping to get the unified framework in motion? Okay. Thanks, guys.